Good evening, folks, or good morning, or whenever you're tuning into the podcast feed. Thank you for listening. The gremlins over at YouTube are about to get the show up and running as we are about to go live on YouTube with Dockside at the Bay. So now I'm just getting ready to share the link. Go. And no, it's not made for kids. I have to say that every single time. And we're going to go ahead. We're going to post and share. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Dockside at the Bay. I am Vinnie. This is Kim, and we are here for another edition of the show, the only podcast that covers what I call the ECW of the soap opera world. Um, in my opinion, one of the best soap operas out there, The Bay.
Oh, yes.
Kim,
I
how are you today?
I'm doing just fine, Vinny. Yeah. No,
Good.
today's been a little crazy with work, but wasn't as crazy as these episodes were, so that's a relief at least.
Yes,
But uh but yeah, no, looking forward to just diving in, and I mean there's so much to cover with these two. There's a lot going on.
there really was. And we're going to get into episodes 11 and 12 of the Bay season 2, which of course you can find on Amazon Prime, Peacock, Tubi TV, and Popstar. We're still waiting for more to be dropped. We're still, kind of in that holding pattern, but I mean we're cruising through.
We're getting,
When we
yeah,
get to
we're making good progress, but eventually we're going to get caught up, and hopefully by then, we'll be able to have some new episodes coming out and all that
yes,
fun stuff to look forward to.
absolutely. So let's get a little few church notices out of the way. First off, we want to thank everybody for tuning in to Suds News last night, which we went over some future programming notes as we go forward. Working on Suds 24/7. That's a hashtag I'm now using. Hashtag Suds 24/7, because that's the eventual goal, is to make a 24/7 channel full of soap podcasts and wrestling podcasts. Maybe get them all in there. But anyways, um, few things to go over. First off, as always, we are an official affiliate for the WWE shop, which is a Fanatics experience. So go to sudsandsquaredcircle.com/wrestling merch. That gives you the affiliate link that brings you to WWE shop. And anything you buy from there, whether it's WrestleMania gear, any Roman Reigns gear, um, we get an 8% commission, so it helps the show. And it will definitely help us out and help you guys out with some really cool merch. However, getting back to programming notes. Oh, before I even get into that, yeah, sometimes my brain goes in different directions, so you'll have to bear with me. As you can probably tell by watching our show for the past 23 episodes. The Sudsy Awards are coming up on Sunday, July 21st is when they're going to be released. The Sudsy voting is still open for another couple days until Sunday, July 7th. So go ahead and go to sudsandsquaredcircle.com/Sudsy voting and cast your votes. And the very special thing that's happening on the Sudsy Awards is that I'm giving away a copy of What Happened to Our Wrestling. Charlie from Starkville Asks the Fans by Charlie Domino, also known as Charlie from Starkville. So, in order to be eligible to win, you have to subscribe to this YouTube channel and or the podcast feed, whether Suds and Squared Circle, more likely the Suds and Squared Circle feed, because nothing is wrestling related on Dockside today. So, subscribe to that. Send me the screenshot of the proof that you subscribe to one or both, to Vinnie, Vinnie, at sudsandsquaredcircle.com, and you'll get one or two entries. And on Sunday, July 21st, during the Sudsy Awards, I will announce the winner and get in touch with the person who won. Will win a copy of Charlie's book. All right. Programming notes. A lot of new stuff coming down the pipe. I'm going to start treating the Sudsy Awards in July almost like our WrestleMania, in terms of where all the old stuff stops and the new stuff. So when we get to July after the Sudsy Awards, it'll start season 2 of Dockside at the Bay, season 3 of Suds News, and so on and so forth. But here we go. So start tomorrow, being Wednesday, I'm going to be on an episode of Chairshot Sports. I'm not sure if it's going to be live or recorded, but we're going to be going over um, Money in the Bank coming up this Saturday night from Toronto, WWE's premium live event. We'll be going over that. Starting next Wednesday, the 10th of July, will be Squared Circle News every Wednesday at 8 p.m. right here on this YouTube channel. I did find a permanent co-host, and that announcement will go out as soon as I get the confirmation that everything's good to go. The other thing, as announced last night on Suds News, Angela, who is, the one of my co-hosts on Suds News, we're coming up with something quarterly, kind of a quarterly premium live event for our channel, in that it's going to be called Angela Answers Fan Mail. And that's going to be live. And let me tell you something, for the people on Twix that consistently call her out for her thoughts and want to harass her, you are going to be called out, because we're going to be reading the tweets, the posts from Twix with your handles live on our channel. And that's going to transition into the very first Patreon only show. So if you're not a patron of our Patreon, go to patreon.com/Suds and Squared Circle. Sign up. Right now, there's no paid tiers. I don't think. I have to look, because I don't really do much on there. So there's no point in paying when we're not doing anything on there. But we are going to start. That's going to be quarterly. Also, Angela and I are going to be working on starting up a show about the web soap Studio City. That's Sean Kanan's pet project. That there's 2 seasons right now on the Roku channel. So that's another one that I'm enjoying. It's another short web series like The Bay, and we're going to be getting that together in the next few weeks. So now the church announcements are out of the way, now we could actually get into what we're here for, and that is episodes 11 and 12 of season 2 of The Bay.
Yep. And Jack's Road to Redemption, which I think is the title of the episode, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, Jack's Road to Redemption. Yes. As we know, last episode, Jack was shot by, actually a couple episodes ago, Jack was shot by John, his son, John Blackwell.
Yes.
And now he's laying in the hospital.
And we've got, Sophia there, and we've got, her daughter Riley, and, they're kind of just discussing how, it's heartbreaking at the beginning, because, obviously there's still, he and Sophia still are grappling with, well, Sophia's still grappling with the whole shakedown, what happened with Orchid and that whole situation. And, but she hasn't left Jack's side, and just her saying, I was humiliated by him, but doesn't matter. He doesn't deserve to die because of what he did. And it just can't help but loving him. This whole like really tender, really lovely scene. Oh my God. Jackie Zeman in that she was incredible in that scene.
She
But
really was. And in this entire set of 2 episodes, you
oh,
see her,
absolutely.
all of her emotions. I mean, the majority of the episodes are about Jack. Both
Yes.
episodes. It's not where where it goes back and forth. Yes, you're going to see a couple of interactions with other characters just based around what's going on, but for the most part, we're here with Jack.
Yep. Yep. We're on his journey, and we get introduced to John Blackwell's mother, Karen.
Yes, played by the phenomenal Carolyn Hennesy.
She her chemistry with the actor who plays Jack, really like electric, considering we haven't seen them interact before this episode,
Yes,
and considering the fact that she's also a ghost
yes.
slash angel slash spirit guide, whatever term you want to use. But the chemistry between them was off the charts, in my
Well,
opinion.
Carolyn Hennessy is one of those actors that could have chemistry with a broomstick, because she is just so phenomenal. And I love the fact that a lot of times with her tone of voice, whether she means it or not, a lot of things come out snarky, and
Oh
a
yeah.
lot of things come out, sarcastic,
Yep.
and just she gets you to the point, but also adds that little barb into it.
Yep. And there's definitely just, like she's just, she knows how to like she's dealing with, her cheating, her cheating ex who, did like, despicable things their whole marriage and all of this. and yet, she's still, but she's the one who's like, she's keeping him on his toes. She's the one
Yeah.
who's like guiding him through this. She's giving it right back to him. He's being a little bit, and she isn't putting up with it, and she's just
Yeah.
being like sassy and guiding him through this. And just like some of the lines, some of the dialogue that she got, when she's talking about him being like, yeah, you're on a ventilator, crossed over to my side, you kicked the bucket, and now you got to repent, and all this
Yep.
stuff. It's just, I casting for it was spot on, because she conveys that, just, I've known you forever. I know you're a son of a bitch, but
Mhm.
we're gonna get, I'm gonna walk you through this thing, and you're gonna see exactly how much of a bastard you were in your
He
past
is a
life, and hopefully
serial
redeem yourself.
philanderer. Yeah. He's a serial philanderer. He's always thinking with the wrong head, so to speak.
Yeah.
And it goes to throughout, his, and we'll start from the beginning, his relationship with Karen.
Yes.
And that's when we see kind of the backstory of Jack and Melody, in that they were like, if you want to say high school sweethearts, and the timing just never worked out for
Right.
them.
Right. Because he was with, had gotten um Karen. Karen was pregnant, and also, like, they were afraid too of,
Right.
his, of, yes, because of just that whole situation causing them to just, their relationship to fall apart if it was found out that they were together. So there was that element of fear. But he at that point too felt obligated to be with Karen, to be with the mother of his child. And
Mhm.
yeah, they were just really star-crossed at that point. But
And we find out that Red is Melody's father, not Jack's father.
mm-hmm. Yep. And just like, the way that she describes him, again, we haven't seen this character yet. He's been alluded to multiple times, but
Yes.
we haven't seen him except for that creepy portrait.
Yeah. And not to spoil anything, I don't think we actually see the character until like season 7.
Yeah, he doesn't come into the picture until down the road. I remember that much as well. But, just his presence in their lives at this, like then, back then, currently, it's just, he is the ghost that's hovering over everything, and,
Hmm.
the one that's keeping, because Melody and Jack, I mean, they do have that sort of, they have a lovely chemistry too. They
Yeah.
showed the younger versions of them, and it's just like you want to root for them, even though he's obviously has a child with another woman, and is, I don't know, part of like just those scenes with Christos.
Christoph.
And then I'm not sure the actress who was playing
Was
young
it
Melody.
was it Avery? Was it Alicia Lee Will?
No, I
No?
don't believe so. I don't believe so. I thought that at first as well, but I don't think it's the same actress.
All right, I'm
But
gonna have to
regardless,
do that.
they did have a lovely chemistry. And even his saying basically like, to put it, well, you can still be my side chick, even
Yeah.
though he says it in such a charming way, but still, it's like, okay, yeah, you just basically want to hook up with her on the side while you're married. And, but he says it, I don't know, there's a weird romantic loveliness despite the connotation there. So,
Yeah, I'm not sure. It doesn't necessarily. Oh, Brittany Renee Finnemore,
okay,
young Melody Garrett. That's according to IMDb.
got it.
So yeah.
Yeah,
So I
really
mean,
sweet chemistry between the two of them,
oh yeah.
in that
Well,
scene, and just,
again, Christos is a fantastic actor, and for him to be playing his grandfather as
yeah.
young, and it's just it was
I
just
do like that touch, how they have like, actors, playing like, their old, like respective older,
yeah.
I appreciate that. That's a cool little twist.
I don't know who played middle-aged Jack, for lack of a better
I'm
term.
not too sure myself. I'm not too
Um,
sure myself. Good actor, but
yeah,
didn't
but we
replace him.
but the actor that played Melody that plays Melody is the one that did middle-aged Melody. Um, for lack of a better term again. Um, but then we saw, and then we also saw Brandon Beamer, who plays
Yes.
Evan, play young John.
Yes. Which, I will admit, that was a little bit like having him kind of coming in hot as Evan, but
Yeah,
having seen him play young, it was a little, it was a little bit murky there. Like, it
it
took
was.
me a second.
Yeah.
because we haven't seen Evan before. We haven't seen Evan before
No, we haven't until
this
this
episode.
episode.
Until this episode. So it's kind of funny that they had him like, in flashback mode and then all of a sudden jump to, oh yeah, by the way, I'm
Yeah,
playing this character too.
that was
But it's
strange.
also Brandon Beamer on as two separate characters, so I'm not going to object to that. You
Right.
know, I yeah, I just no. The more of him on my screen, the better, as far as I'm concerned. So
um, but we did see, we saw the star-crossed lovers of, of Jack and Melody, and how they alluded to Red, how he would just not go for it.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
and
no, very
then,
controlling, very authoritative figure in their lives, and Melody just knew that the relationship would be doomed if he learned
oh yeah,
about it, if he found out. So. And it just kind of hints at what Sarah was up against, and kind of it lends a little bit of a reasoning to, like, why she's in jail for murder, because
yeah,
we did get to see her just briefly in the episode,
yeah, because she called Pete just to ask about how Jack was
yeah,
doing.
just to check in, and
And
just a brief little
that's
scene.
it, just the little snippets of other characters. Like, this
Hmm.
is centered around Jack and Karen and John.
Yeah, because that whole backstory, I mean, that whole backstory has been just like there, kind of hanging out in the dark. We haven't really, we've heard, bits and pieces of it, but having them fill in the gaps so thoroughly by just like, jumping between the different time periods, and the way that they did that just so seamlessly, it's a
Yeah,
brilliant way to just kind of convey all of that, as opposed to just characters just talking about it. We actually get to see it. We actually
right.
get to, like, because it's such like it's an important piece of like the history and the lore for the show,
And
and
you
just the way
can
that they
see,
decided to
and
go
it
about
kind
the
of
show.
really fills in John's backstory as to why he's
Oh
so
yeah,
dead set against his father.
and valid reason, because
Yep.
we see, we get a fun little twist involving Catherine that I'd
Yes.
actually kind of forgotten about. I admit,
Yeah.
like it, that kind of, because it's been a bit since I had seen this, chunk of episodes, and I had kind of forgotten when they said Kate. I was just like,
Yeah.
wait a minute, oh, that's Cat. Oh,
Yeah.
wait, okay, and then it all started coming back to me. How, yeah, serial philanderer.
Yeah. And then you kind of get that full circle moment with John talking to Evan and uh Damien,
Yes.
as because you see where you know um John comes home with his kids from a camping trip because Damien is sick, so they
Yep.
come back early.
Want to
That's the
surprise
night,
mommy.
yeah, that's the night that Jack and Catherine are playing pool and having tequila. And you know what they say, tequila makes the clothes fall off. So they end up in bed. And
Yep.
it's not just Jack. He went along with it, but
Yeah.
it's
No,
like
she was definitely pursuing. I mean, she's the one who even like kind of raises the point, like, your relationship with
Karen.
Karen.
Yeah.
What's up with that? Seems like you guys are pretty stale. She
Yeah.
is just she's you could tell she's in pursuit.
Yes.
She's definitely interested in this whole thing. But yeah, cut to her sons and her husband
Yeah.
all
And
looking
then
for and seeing everything.
you've got to feel for Evan,
Oh
because
God,
the
yeah.
little kid coming in, he doesn't know what's going on,
No,
but
but
obviously John is in enraged and
yes,
beats up his father, basically throws him out of the house.
yeah,
Um
no,
and
ugly scene, and you got just this little kid watching in the background, just totally just freaked out, and then
yep,
they cut to adult version of him, still freaked out, still saying like, you don't remember, but I do. This
yep.
is like, and just having to, but having that history, like, the different, the two generations there, and just so artfully done, just
It really
so good.
was. It's like, because John goes from vengeful heel to sympathetic baby
Oh
face
yeah.
in
And him being him in dad mode,
yes,
that's a layer of him we haven't really, I mean, we've seen him like, obviously, like, he's protective of Damien, and
right.
we've seen like some of that, but just seeing him with young kids, and seeing him just like enthusiastic, I'm taking the kids on a camping trip, and we're gonna go surprise mom. I mean, just seeing him, and heck, even when they showed him, all happy and excited about his passing the bar,
Yes.
and then they, obviously they show they show the mother, and she's just, she's over the moon, she's so happy, and he doesn't even look up from his newspaper,
Yeah.
and that whole, it just, but seeing him just like so young and full of hope,
Yeah.
and
Well,
it just
it adds another wrinkle to their relationship because
yes.
I think that when Jack slept with Catherine, it was kind of like the nail in the coffin,
Oh,
right? Because
absolutely. Yeah.
I feel like just looking at the episodes or the time frames that they show, Jack is very resentful of John because of the fact that he felt like he had to marry Karen, which
Yes.
he couldn't do anything with Melody because of that.
Hmm. Right.
So
Right.
he resents John. So and every time that John's excited and happy, you could see how Jack is the one that puts the damper on.
Yeah. And they did have, Karen kind of trying to explain the reason why, Jack kind of was the way he was, just, because his dad wasn't around. His dad was a soldier in World War II and was away and very,
Yeah,
like gruff and removed every time that he'd be home. So it's like they do try, they don't just make him out to be just like a heartless, uncaring bastard. There is like, a layer in there based on his relationship with his father. I mean, we just
yeah,
keep on seeing these father-son relationships just spiraled out in different forms and different timelines, and just the way that they handle, like, just explaining that generational sort of trauma,
yeah,
you know just covering that, it's just, oh, so well done. And for 40 minutes total of TV,
yeah.
basically, they managed to just cover so much.
And if you really think about it, 40 minutes of TV, we got so much information in one episode, and that's two episodes. One episode of General Hospital without the commercials is 36 minutes.
Yeah.
And there are times where that show, and I love General Hospital. I do a show about it every week. Um, Sometimes there are episodes that just are just blah. Like there's no
Yeah.
information at all moving forward.
Yeah. I mean, you see it with days sometimes too. Sometimes there'll be an episode that's like with Peacock, sometimes the length times vary a little bit.
Yeah.
There'll be episodes where it just kind of feels like, okay, that was that was that. That was that chunk of the show for the day. Cool.
Yeah.
But nothing like, just I don't know, it's just refreshing to just see so much covered and so much, just all that history, and just kind of, it's thrown at you, but in a way that's like manageable and makes you want to see more and
Yep.
intrigues you. Like you're bombarded, but you're not.
Yes. And it's like, and these two episodes alone, and I've talked about it over the past couple of weeks, that Eric Bischoff, who's the former, you know, executive vice president of WCW, who also has his podcast 83 Weeks, um, basically points out that every episodic television show should have a formula called SARSA, which is
Mhm.
story, anticipation, reality, surprise, action. Um, and the Bay has it all. These
It
two
does.
episodes had everything in it
Absolutely. Absolutely.
because you can see the story, you can see how um you can see how Jack just, and then towards the end, just the story in the two episodes of Jack at the beginning, like we come into this show thinking Jack is, the mayor, the elderly old guy that got shot by his son who really doesn't care about him. And then you're taken on a roller coaster ride over the next two episodes, the next 40 minutes,
Hmm.
where your opinion of Jack changes drastically and your
Yes.
opinion of John change. They flip. It's
Yeah.
like a WrestleMania 18 Hogan Rock flip match where Hogan came in as the heel, ended up as the baby face. The Rock came in as the baby face and ended up the heel because of the audience. And this is just something classic that your opinion of both men
Hmm.
just changed.
Yeah, because you just get to see all these different layers. You just get to
Yeah,
see all these different sides of these characters, and they tease out and they flesh out these guys that we've seen super intense and seen in like kind of not stereotypical, but just kind of like standard sort of, like you said, you got like the guy with the chip on his shoulder who's super intense and, angry at the world and all of
Yep.
this. And then you find out why he's angry at the world and wants to shoot his father and does. And you realize that he's got a lot of justification.
And you find out why he's resentful of Sarah,
Yes. Yes.
because Sarah, we find out through these two episodes that, and Sarah's not in much, and Sarah's really not even mentioned a lot, but
No.
we know that Melody is Sarah's mother,
Hmm.
so he places more importance on that child because
Oh, yeah.
she's a product of his one that got away, for lack of a better
Oh,
term,
yeah.
you
Absolutely.
know,
Yep.
and then it's like John being the bastard child that he never wanted, and being that this was
Yeah.
back in, let's say the 50s, 60s,
Yeah.
you
Brad Pitt
know,
era, I think. Yeah.
abortion wasn't really around, and there's like everybody who got
Yeah, no.
married.
I mean, he was, the way that when they do like the earliest flashback scenes, which I'm guessing took place in like the 50s, kind of
Yeah,
based off the looks and everything. I mean, basically he's like, he feels obligated to her. She is having my baby. Like
yeah.
there was no way around it. It's just like, I have to be with this woman.
There were
I got
no
her
single
pregnant.
mothers back then.
Yeah, like, yeah, this is just the way it's going to be because this is the way society is right now. So,
Yep.
but yeah, I mean, it was just, you've got like that layer that does get teased out, and it does explain even subtly. I mean, like, he doesn't outright, say like, oh yes, I don't like sure, but you don't, it's implied.
Yeah,
So we just get it and we know. And speaking though of Melody, the scene between her and Karen,
yeah,
when oh my gosh, I had forgotten that when they have the party and they kind of cut
yes,
to them, and Karen reveals that, like, just comes out swinging,
yeah.
just like insults and just not caring. And you think, well, this is just kind of her standard kind of person. She's fed up. She knows that like they're together. And then she drops the bomb like, I don't care what I'm doing because I have stage 4 cancer and I'm going to die. So
Yeah.
what's the big deal? And then it just escalates from there. But that was such a good scene.
And
Just,
then she pours the champagne over
pours
Melody's
it
head.
onto her head. It's
Yep.
not just like throwing it. It's not just one of the,
No,
it's
she
like,
poured
nope,
it.
I am going to pour this over your head.
And then they get into a knockdown drag out fight,
Yep. I mean, just,
grapple.
yeah, just so, but it just, the scene, the way it just escalates like that,
Yes.
just, it just builds in such a way. And then you're just like, you think, oh my gosh, she's just this woman who's bitter and making a fool out of herself. And then you're just like, oh no, wait a minute. Oh, wait, no, she's actually dying and she does
Yeah.
not care. And she's just going to go after this woman for going after her husband. And it's just, yeah, such a
And
well
it's
done
like
scene.
Karen knew that something was up.
Oh
Like,
yeah, yeah.
she,
No, I mean, and she
whether,
says as much. She says
yeah,
like, yeah, like I've always known, but you had, and even like I think it was Ghost Karen was even saying like, I knew you had a wandering eye and wandering hands and a wandering mouth, and then his like response, someone wake me up from this nightmare,
yeah.
just like that interplay there when they just kind of be looking in on these like flashback sequences and things was just so good, so
Yeah.
funny, and it wasn't trying to be funny, but it just was.
Well, yeah, it wasn't trying to be funny, but it added a little bit of like lightheartedness to the whole
Yeah,
thing
no,
because
it
it's
it
such a
just like
serious.
their banter, their chemistry just elevated it, because it could have been it could have been a little bit cheesy. You got like these like ghosts watching, like, but it wasn't. It was effortlessly just, it was entertaining and it was interesting and it was dynamic and it was just testament to the acting there because it was just, those scenes were great. Those
Yeah,
scenes were great.
absolutely. All right, so we then go to Sophia and Riley leave the room,
Yep.
for a little while to get drinks or whatever. And then Pete comes in to kind of, visit his grandfather. And then all of a sudden, all the, you know, noises go off, all the gauges go off.
Yep.
He's going into cardiac arrest, and he's going
Yep,
to
the
be,
flatlining and all of that.
yes,
And you see Avery, it was so subtle, it was so quick, but like they're trying to revive him and like Dr. Campbell is asking for like, give me the CCs, do it. And she just kind of has to take a step back and step away. because
Yeah.
it's still that's still family to her. She still considers him her grandfather, and it was just a subtle little thing, but it just shows how affected she is. She's like, just kind of standing in the corner, even though she's like trying to do her job, but also
Yeah.
just this is
Do
family to me.
we
This is
do we know who Avery's parents are? We know that
I,
Sarah is her aunt.
this is yeah okay yeah. Sarah is her aunt. I'm not entirely I'm not entirely sure. I swear
Are
I
they
said it
are
last
her and
week,
Daniel
but I think I
Liza's
need to make a
kids?
family tree because
Yeah.
that side of the family confuses me a little bit.
Yeah, that it does. I'm not sure who it would
I'm
be.
not sure. I want to say no. Avery, 'cause Avery's and
Daniel.
Daniel's father does come into play. I want to say it's season 3.
Okay.
Yes, and but it's a different sort. Yes, but he comes in a different figure though.
Because
I'm
I
not
know
sure.
Pete's father comes in season 3 as well.
Yeah, I want to say it's season 3 when we're introduced to him. There's like a family I think it's because like Sarah's been either released or celebrating something with Lex. There's some sort of big gathering that their
Yeah.
father crashes. I remember that much.
Okay. We'll
So
have to keep an eye on that.
yeah,
Because
yeah,
that does,
down the road.
yeah.
Down the road. It's kind of it's fuzzy, but it's there. I do remember something like that happening. But yeah, at this point, I mean, we just know that she just considers Jack to be her grandfather figure and is just shaken obviously by seeing him like flatlining in bed, and then
Yep.
has to go out and
Yep.
basically, tell Pete, tell everybody, but
Yeah.
Pete who then has to tell Sarah. It's just, that whole, just kind of difficult
And poor
situation.
and poor Sophia,
Oh,
like, I should have never left the room. This is all my
yeah.
fault.
And then Pete saying like, I shouldn't have left the room, but I can't blame myself, neither can you. Pete just
Yeah.
stepping up in his big way, being there for his mom, being there for Sophia. Just, oh, what a gem.
Yes. And then, it's like we do see the scene with, we see John kind of lurking in the background.
Hmm.
We see him in the scene where Pete is talking to Sarah on the phone, and
Yep.
then we kind of see where, Sophia and Riley are kind of coming back, and he's just back there. He ends
Hmm.
up going to visit Damien, and he kind of fills him in about Jack's progress.
Yep.
Um,
And then
and
Evan
that's where we
crashes
meet
in.
Evan.
And, it's kind of funny because you have like Evan with the similar kind of intensity to John, where
Yes.
it's just like, coming in hot, just, yep, I got a chip on my shoulder and you guys are going to hear about it.
Yeah.
Like, just, and he has no problem being like, don't keep secrets from the baby boy any longer. Good old grandpa slept with mom at
Yeah.
home, and even like, doesn't he calls Catherine a whore, and then I think Damien defends her, and then he's,
Yeah.
don't let her religious act fool you,
Yes.
she
Yep.
screwed our grandfather, just oof, coming in hot just like dad. So
Oh yeah. And it's like we finally get to see John kind of speechless,
hmm.
kind of taken aback that
Yeah,
um
because he's just, it's been exposed, and now it's almost as if like, he knew that Evan knew obviously, but maybe he was kind of hoping to like shield Damien, and now Damien
yeah,
is furthest thing from shielded, and he's just is like, there's just that layer of just shame and, everything like that in front of his sons, and just, oh, you feel for the guy right there.
no, you're
And then you
absolutely right.
also, and it's so funny with Catherine too, because it's like, okay, the last time we saw her, she was like, the religious, praying and everything, and we didn't really know her story, but now we know her story.
Yes,
And I don't believe that we see Judy Evans come back to the
I don't think
role,
so either.
which is kind of, too bad, because I almost wish that like, with all this new information about Catherine, that we had that opportunity to see her again, just because, yeah, no,
I
she'd
mean,
be fun.
that would be good to kind of
Yeah. Yeah, just because, I know Judy Evans would like kill a scene like that and make it amazing. So,
yeah.
but yeah, no, just that whole, it was just kind of like a tragic little, and you got Damien, who's just probably just like, what the hell, guys? Like, I was a baby. Did I really need to know?
Yeah, exactly. Um,
So, yeah,
but
there's
just
that whole bit. But,
phenomenal
and there
scene.
were also too though just some like even moments that didn't even really have any like dialogue that were just super good, like kind of like little like bookends to the episodes and things.
Yeah.
There was like one scene, and I made a note of it, when they kind of cut back to Jack and Orchid together. They're kind of
Yes.
showing like him with like his, oh, and one other portion that I liked at the start of the second episode, the dance montage that they did.
Yeah.
I'm a sucker for couples dancing on soaps. That is like a weakness of mine. So just seeing just like the progression they showed, them in all the different kind of stages, just, and the song choice too, I thought was really, really,
Yes.
just hate to grow older all by myself and everything. It was just like, oh my gosh. Yes, I'm not supposed to be really rooting for you, but I am rooting for you just because you look so lovely together, that whole aspect. Because it was just, I love that dance thing at the very beginning. Just such a sweet sequence there. Excuse me. But when they cut to the Orchid, kind of, they just show him on his trajectory with all the women in his life.
Yeah.
And there was like Orchid, like, jumping on the bed and straddling him or whatever. But then they immediately cut to Sophia holding him in the hospital bed.
Hmm.
It's like it just went from like that to, and I was just like, oh wow, like,
Yeah.
oh, and it didn't even like need any
And
dialogue.
then,
It was just, it said it all right there.
Riley
Yeah.
asks her, how could you forgive him? Like, how can you not be mad at him and stay by
Hmm.
his side? And she's like, oh, I'm still mad at him, but he doesn't deserve to die.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
Just,
the way that,
and then
yeah.
she breaks down and hugs him.
Yeah.
And, it's just all the emotions. And Jackie Zeman, again, is fantastic. God rest her soul, because,
Yeah.
you know, the world lost a fantastic actor when she passed away.
Yeah, no, she's so good in this. And I think I mentioned this, how, like, because I was first introduced to her not really having seen much of her on GH, having seen her on this. And
Yeah,
I honestly thought that she had that accent because she's so convincing with that accent. I know that she does not, or did not,
right.
but just her character in this was just so dynamic to me. So, I just kind of associated her with that voice and with that, all those mannerisms. And I did appreciate too how they showed him meeting Sophia for the first time. I
Yes.
thought, that was a sweet little moment where, like, he kind of, and he's still like, for an old guy, Mr. Suave, Mr. like,
Oh
oh,
yeah.
I don't need any introduction. I can just go up and talk to her,
Yeah.
like, just, I was, I got some swagger there, bud.
Yes.
But no, that was just like, you see her in the corner with her hat, and he's just instantly drawn to her and just like wants to know more about her. And it was just sweet that they, like, in the midst of showing all of like that backstory, they did also show how the two of them met, which I thought was
Yeah.
really sweet. But and then even when they cut to like the very end and they kind of show, her, Sophia and Jack, or not Jack, John Blackwell,
Yeah.
kind of talking, and that exchange too was really powerful and really good because she's just
Yeah.
genuinely shocked that he's even in the room.
Yeah. And she introduces him to Riley, and he just comes in just quiet,
Hmm.
and she says, I wasn't expecting you to show up.
Yep. And
Um,
she's like, says like, thank you for caring, thank
yeah.
you for being. I mean, it's just like, oof, man. But
And then
um,
he
yeah.
sits down, and just the Jack, as still in the between land, saying he's gonna finish me off. He's come to, and
And
Karen
you think
saying it's
it,
your time. You
yeah.
know,
And you think that that could be a very real possibility, given
yeah,
everything that we have seen, and just given how he's been lurking around and just kind of standing in corners. We're thinking like, oh, okay, this is when it happens. He's
yep,
gonna smother him with a pillow or do something, and you
yeah,
even
because
see
he
him
goes
like
to
kind of,
turn off the
mm-hmm,
monitor,
yep,
and then Jack wakes up,
yep,
and
and
Jack
then,
apologizes.
uh, and just,
Just that,
been a selfish man. If I die right now, just remember these words. Remember that I love you. And just given how, that holds just different weight because you have it like when he's having the conversation with his mother, in the flashback, and she just kind of says like, he would smirk or he would grimace, and that would be like a way of his saying that he loved you or
yeah,
something like that. But he never would actually. So the fact that he actually says the words, and the fact that, and it's just, ugh. And then like just the tears and his forgiving him for shooting him, and I don't know if I can ever forgive myself though. It's just like, oh my gosh, okay,
it's very powerful.
redemption has taken place now. Okay, we buy it now.
Yeah,
you
just a
know.
very powerful couple of episodes, and I like that they were grouped together, like for us,
Oh yeah,
instead of having to, you know
yeah.
split it between 2 weeks, but it
Mhm.
just worked that those two episodes together were that story, the redemption arc for Jack.
Yeah. And I will say, even just the last little scene, and it was just really, I thought it was a good send off because I don't believe we see Karen kind of come back after. If she does, it's like, maybe as a ghost or something like that. But Karen hugging John Blackwell
Yep.
as like a ghost from behind, and that being like what the note that the episode closes on, I was just like, oh my gosh, okay.
Yeah.
Like even that was just like a good, just like a good, like kind of, final note to like,
Yeah.
end this little kind of journey that they took us on, I thought.
No, absolutely. And no, you're absolutely right. But overall, a fantastic 2 episodes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I mean, that's pretty much it. We covered everything.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we left anything out. I mean, it was just to establish this whole rich backstory that was created that like we've heard bits and pieces of that haven't really, just being able to see it now that we know, and it just adds, and it's gonna like add more weight obviously to like everything that plays out with Sarah and everything like that too, because it's like
Yeah.
now we know why this guy was so like against her enough to the fact that he would like put her in prison because,
Yeah.
we see this now. We see this intense character why he is the way that he is. So
Yeah. No, exactly.
yeah.
But
And I know that they
you
do
know,
like the flashback kind of treatment for other
yes.
characters. I mean, obviously we've seen it with Sarah, but I know that we're going to see more of that down the road. Flashes to like her entire situation, which also is just, like the way that
Yeah.
they flesh that out too is just, superb and really well done. So it's a nice way to go about like, rather than just characters just kind of talking about it, we get to actually see it, and it's just it's a nice component.
Yeah. Exactly. But hey, Nathan, welcome to the chat. How are
Hi,
you
Nathan.
tonight? But the thing is that they do, I think the very first flashback they do is the night the senator died. So
Yeah.
almost it almost tells you that Sarah was conceived between Melody and Jack as an extramarital affair.
Yeah.
Because the fact that Sarah's the one being blamed for the death, regardless, we still don't know for sure what happened.
Right.
You know, the fact that she was alive at that point in time,
Yes.
you know, just
Yeah.
leads you to believe, unless there was a time before he and Karen got married. That either way, we know that Jack is a serial philanderer. So you
Yeah.
know,
Yep.
and Jack and
And
Melody were star-crossed lovers from the
and
very
we
beginning.
know that, Jack is always just, because Melody's the one who got away, and Melody is like, the true love. So the fact that, Sarah is, I mean, she is the golden child of his because of that, that connection. Even in Bay the Beginning, when he wanted to sit by
Yep.
her at the wedding, it's like, yep.
And at that
Yeah.
point, we didn't know for sure that Jack was Sarah's father because
No.
Sophia
No.
actually asked at the last episode of of Bay the Beginning, why do you have such a connection to Sarah?
Hmm. Yep. And Sophia's like, suspicious of it. She's a little, confused as to why. And, she ends up like, Jack ends up walking out, and we see like his concern in Bay the Beginning for Sarah, but we don't necessarily see it's said though in I believe in that opening kind of when, they have Pete's character in voiceover just kind of explaining, that's
Yeah,
when we officially get confirmation that like, oh yeah, by the way.
yeah,
So,
exactly. Well, I mean, that's about it. We've gone over
yeah,
everything of the 2 episodes. Any
yeah.
final thoughts about season episodes 11 and 12 from
I
season two?
appreciated the Mortimer mention.
Yes,
I noticed that when during that crazy scene with the drink throwing and the
yeah,
the spilling on the head, like I called Mortimer for a car. I was like,
yeah,
oh, Mortimer mentioned, cool. But yeah, no, I think we touched base on everything, and it's just, like, and it's gonna be kind of funny, like, diving back into, the next set of episodes, like, and getting out of flashback world. Because,
yeah.
having it, back to back like the way that we did with this, and then just having
Right.
it sit,
And
now
then
it's
we'll
time for
get
the real
back
world
to the
again.
current.
Yep, exactly. But
All
looking
right.
forward to it.
So, yeah, for those of you fans, thank you so much for tuning in. Go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe, and get notified. The podcast will be uploaded tomorrow morning. or tomorrow, I should say. And again, stay tuned to this YouTube channel. Stay tuned to our Twix, which is at Suds SQ Circle Pod, for all the news and notes and announcements that we're going to be making over the next few weeks. Stay tuned. And definitely, if you're subscribed, hit that notification bell, because anytime anything gets posted to this channel or we go live, you will get a text or an email or notification on your phone saying, go ahead, click on this, come watch, because we're live. But outside of that, we're done for the night, and for Kim, I'm Vinny. We will see you next week, Dockside at the Bay.
Take care,
Have a
everybody.
great night, everybody.